Welcome to the shop, guys. Today, as you can see from the title of the video, I've got a fresh ARF plane on the bench. Now, I don't do reviews very often. I really don't. But I had the opportunity to review this one, and I took it because I have a member of my club who has had at least two of these. uh, so I know he's crashed a couple of them because I've got the parts from them. um, but it's a fantastic flying airplane, despite his piloting abilities. Love you, Ron. You're a great friend. Um, so to be fair, this is now the Tower Hobbies de Havilland Beaver, and this is a really nice foam airplane. Throw it back in the seat of your car, go to the flying field, have a bunch of fun. It is just very well built. The wings plug in very securely. The carbon fiber spars are very strong. You can easily access things that you need to through appropriate hatches. There's good detail. These little pieces of plastic. The control surfaces are very scale. You've got nice pocketed and offset hinge ailerons as well as flaps. The floats that come with it are really nice. These floats took almost no time to assemble. They're numbered very well for you to easily assemble them, and they just go right onto the plane. Now, I've got some footage of the assembly that I'll time-lapse through as I talk more about the specifics of this airplane and my experience building it. It's just a nice size model that takes a 3-cell 2200 pack, and I have flown this airplane, and we'll get to that flight footage later, but I have flown this airplane over 7 minutes on that 2200 pack, and that's with doing silly things too. It's not just putt-putting around the sky. But the nice thing about the model is that the instructions are very good. They're very straightforward. Things are very easy to follow. Sometimes the error is in the operator. I had a little trouble with the tail gear, and you can probably see that. I did a couple of times second guess myself on the screw sizing. I thought I grabbed the right bag, and then I second guessed myself and put bigger screws in it. Realized that those screws were for something else, and then went back to the original screws, and then thought, oh well, I'm going to have these extra screws. No, okay. So I went back and forth on the screws for the tail gear. Ended up making them oversized. So that was on me. I should have just followed the directions right the first time and not second guessed myself. It goes together the way it does, and it's fine. Just follow follow the instructions and you'll be fine. But I gotta say that it's very well built. I like that it's got nice big wheels, specifically for my flying field, because my flying field is very bumpy, and little tiny wheels on a model this size doesn't really go over that well. It'll nose over in a heartbeat. I do really like the navigation lights on this model. They're very visible when you fly, even in the daytime. So much so that the spare parts that I've used in the past from this model, I actually put on my Hangar 9 P47. They work tremendously well. Even the landing light, I made a retractable landing light out of the landing light from this model, and you can see it clear as day on landing approach. It's pretty remarkable. Other things about this, the wheels are very sturdy. They're foam wheels, so they're very lightweight. They don't have a whole lot of give. That can be a good thing depending on how you look at it. The spare parts that I got from Ron, again, love you, buddy. Those I've put on another airplane, and I fly the snot out of that plane, and the wheels are still holding up to this day. That plane's on floats now, and you can see I still use these wheels a lot, and they look almost as new as the new ones. Aside from that, there's other really nice details about this model. It does have some cockpit interior details. It's got nice smoked out windows that gives it a nice presence in the air. It's a scale livery so that it is scale. Another nice thing is it's made of this nice foam that you can actually pretty easily peel off. Just use some packing tape and you can peel off some of the paint, or just reapply a primer, scuff it up first, obviously, but you can put your own livery on this foam pretty easily, and the cowl screws right off. So you can paint the cowl separate from the foam. It's really well done. There's additional detail on the tail surfaces where you've got the reinforced ribbing on the rudder as well as the elevators, and the belly is nice and smooth as well. It's a very nice model to look at overall in the sky and on the ground. One additional thing I did have to do on my model, just because I'm really picky, I did have to make a minor cut with some excess flashing of the plastic mold for the spinner. When I put the spinner on and spun it for the first time, just by hand, I could see a very slight wobble, and just removing a little bit of excess plastic to allow it to seat better on the back plate solved all of that. So check that if you want to, but it wouldn't pose a problem at all for flying. Just my own personal, I like to see a nice shiny spinner, not wobbly. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding. This airplane flies phenomenally well. So I'm just gonna show you guys that flight footage and talk a little bit about that afterward.
All right, I'm recording.
So I lied. I'm not gonna let you guys suffer through me just being a talking head. I'll talk a little bit about how the model flies while I fly it. It flies really well. You can have just enough vertical to do some fun things with it. It carries momentum. It's not too overly powered, which I really appreciate. It has enough. It doesn't need any more. And it flies so slow with the flaps all the way down, like almost a walking pace, and it's so reliably stable. The flaps, when you put them down at first, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, is that really enough flap? I mean, is that really gonna? It's enough flap. Trust me, it's plenty of flap. It slows it way down. And it's just absolutely stable. Does all the dumb things. Even the elevator authority is really well done. It doesn't seem like too much. It's definitely not too little. The expo that I use is around 40%, upwards of 60% sometimes, but it's a high wing airplane. I don't need to be entirely that cautious. So I use 40%. A lot of people use a lot less expo than I do, so take that for what you will. But it allows me to get really nice and smooth scale transitions, which is what I love to do. I love to fly it a very scale way. But as you can see from my flight, I like to bash on the sticks too. Landings are really straightforward. It's pretty much a point and shoot. There's not too much sideways wander. So lots of vertical stabilizer authority there. The rudder gives you plenty of input to make corrections as well. There's not quite enough rudder to do knife edges with this model. You could probably bump it up a little bit more. I don't have all my rudder maxed out. So if you wanted to make this more aerobatic, you probably could. It's not how I choose to fly my models. And one thing about the model that I really quite enjoy is its ability to just sit there and look cool. But in the air, it just sort of sits in the sky and looks cool too, because it doesn't have retracts. It doesn't have any sort of bells or whistles or anything like that that's too super fancy. But the lines of this model are very good. Your orientation, even at dusk or in odd light situations, your orientation is just going to be very well preserved with the silhouette because of its unique shape. So if you're scared of a model being lost in, tree lines or gray sky, this is not a model that's going to do that. Something to keep in mind for sure. Well, these are my thoughts on this model, guys. This is a model that I think is worth the price that you pay for it. I'm glad to see Horizon bringing this model back. This used to be a Fly Zone model, now branded under a Tower Hobby name. I'm glad that they're bringing it back and making use of it. It's a great platform. I think it's a phenomenal starter scale airplane. Flies exceptionally well, can easily be modified. Having replacement parts is great. But at the end of the day, it's a good looking model on the ground and in the air without too much entry into the hobby. You can put whatever receiver you want into it, and there's not carbon fiber that's going to interfere with it or anything silly like that. Just put something in it and go fly it and have a great day. And I look forward to having this for a little while to come as another one of my flying works of art.